A lot of people think that the old Mersey Beat is well and truly dead. Right, and to prove that the sound is far from dead...
They called it the Liverpool sound. To us, it was just American rhythm and blues or rock. But in Liverpool, it was the exclusive property of the young. You needed enough money to pay the HP on the instruments, and then you formed a group and blasted the city at night.
Amen. All right. Amen. Oh. Amen. Amen. Hey, I want you.
Paddy Delaney's a very patriotic Scouser. He's a bouncer, and he's been slinging yobbos out of the Cavern Club for 11 years. He watched the groups who came here for 30 bob a night become the biggest thing in show business. And Paddy's just stood here for over a decade and watched it all go by.
Well, after 11 years, you know, the whole atmosphere seemed so magical at the time, electric. Everything was happening. People were coming and going. Never seen it before. You don't see it now. It's like a graveyard at the moment. But my firm belief is this, like the resurrection, it'll happen again.
There were over 300 groups in Liverpool in 1961. I was 18 years of age then and a junior reporter on the Birkenhead News, a local paper. At night, I used to play in a group. At first, we called ourselves Tony Snow and his Blizzards, and later we became the Bohemians. You just had to be in a group. One of the first things people used to ask you when they met you for the first time was, "Hey there, lad, what group are you in? And if so, what's it called?" We used to play on this stage in the Cavern, and later they sold the pieces of it, the floorboards, for 2 shillings a time because another group that played here just happened to be called the Beatles. You couldn't see the audience, and they couldn't hear what you were saying because of the noise, but it didn't really matter very much. The sound vibrated off these walls. It was new, it was exciting, but above all, it was ours.
Nobody but you. I do need you.
The scene's all changed, of course. The birds still cart their handbags onto the floor to prevent them being swiped. But you don't get so many kids at dance halls nowadays unless there's something special on. Mind you, this is quite an occasion. Ricky and the Red Streaks are one of a dozen groups at a dance to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Beatles' first job at the Cavern. This group broke up 8 years ago and reformed just for this remembrance service to Mersey Beat. For all the build-up, the dance was a bit of a letdown. The Beatles didn't show up. Billy J. Kramer and Cilla weren't here either, and the searchers said they wouldn't come unless the Beatles and Cilla did.
Well, Cilla, let's forget about Cilla, because Cilla was appearing in pantomime. She couldn't have made it, and I love Cilla. But the rest just didn't want to know. They don't want to know Liverpool anymore, which is very sad because they owe everything to Liverpool. They owe everything to the magazine called the Mersey Beat. They owe everything to the Cavernites who used to queue up to see them. But now they do not want to know Liverpool. It's sad, but that's it. That's show business, I suppose.
Did you try? Did you go to the Beatles?
I went to Apple twice to try and get them. Didn't even smell them.
Allan Williams is a club owner, and he organised the dance. Allan is a clever little Welsh Liverpudlian who used to be a plumber. He wasn't so bright 10 years ago, though, because he managed the Beatles and packed them up just before they got famous.
I blew my top and I said, right. I said, let's call it a day and finish, and I will see that John Lennon, you never work again. How about that for famous last words?
You're laughing. You feel pretty happy with yourself, but you could have been a millionaire. Don't you feel pretty sick about it?
If I thought about it, Bernie, yes. Yeah, I think I would be in an institute, you know, for idiots, you know. But the only time I really sort of got upset was the night that they appeared on the Palladium, and I just took my shoe off and threw it at the television set.
Once, Alan's club, the Blue Angel, was packed out with stars of the beat world. But now all that's left is a few faded autographs on the back of the door of his boot cupboard. The Mersey Beats, the Rolling Stones, Billy J. Kramer, Millie, and Brian Epstein, who managed the Beatles after Alan.
The scene now in Liverpool, is absolutely dead. It's just like a cemetery. They've destroyed our city, these city planners. They've just smashed it. You know, they've done more than what Hitler could possibly have ever done. They've moved all the people to the outskirts, and the town is absolutely dead. So, and the only thing that's replaced our music, the Mersey Beat sort of sound, is the heavy music, which I think is only for the university bods, you know, for the intellectual sort of snobs. And there's nothing really for the working class or for the average person who likes to go out and have a dance and set his feet tapping. So I thought, why not revive the scene again?
On the night itself, there was free drink in the VIP lounge and it was packed out. It was just like an old comrades reunion.
It's very much like a remembrance ceremony, isn't it? You keep bumping into guys you've never seen for years.
Well, they've grown so much hair around their faces, you can't recognise them, you know. They lost it off the top.
Right, thanks very much.
Over here, I noticed Ted Nibbs, the original manager of Billy Kramer. Ted, could you meet Bernie Falk?
How do you do, Ted?
Oh, it's a long time.
Yeah, it's years, isn't it, since I've seen it?
Yeah.
You were managing Billy J, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you doing now, Ted?
Oh, retired.
Are you? Retired altogether?
Well,
You must be rich.
I'm coming down to London. I think I'll get a job with Gordon Mills. He's a good pal of mine. I've got three songs never been published.
You still keep in touch with the business, do you?
Keep in touch with them.
Nice to see you again, Ted. Great. See you again,
Nice to see
Alan.
you.
So many faces and not a famous name among them. Anybody who was anybody didn't come. If you hit the big time, you got out and bought a big house in London. No one here got much from the beat craze. The groups, the club owners, the managers and hangers-on were brushed by the glitter of having known the Beatles, but few got a slice of the action for themselves.
Well, are you still the Beatles fan club secretary? How's business?
Fine, except for the post type.
You don't have a group anymore.
Well, we've still got full members, haven't I?
This is Dave Forshaw.
Oh, what sort of thing? You booked the Beatles, did you, originally?
I booked the Beatles the first time, which they actually went out of town, was at Rutherglen Town Hall.
Tell us, how much were you paying them?
Well, I paid them £6 for the first engagement and £7.10 for the next two.
Each?
No, for the whole lot.
£6 for the lot
Oh,
for
yes.
the group?
Yes.
You must have taken the first picture of the Beatles and Jerry and the Pacemakers and all these guys.
First picture published with the Beatles, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
Still a photographer. I'm here tonight representing the Express.
Oh, we want our Switch Express.
Yeah, with Express.
There are people here who are walking tragedies, like Tommy Moore, for instance. He was the Beatles' first professional drummer, and he still only earns a couple of quid a night.
What was it like being a Beatle in those days?
Well, just the same as I feel now, downhearted. You know, we weren't making any headway at the time, like. So we made a contract with somebody and we did the tour of Scotland. That's when we made the money. Then we started making a few shillings, you know.
Well, what sort of money were you earning then as a Beatle?
£2.10 a night, 35 bob, you know.
Do you ever think about what you've missed?
Oh, aye. Wouldn't anybody, you know. I mean, millionaires and so popular as they are, like.
Well, what made you leave them, in fact?
Well,